Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to work together on a lace skirt. I found one that I really liked at H&M, one of my shopping trips, but I wasn't ready to pay $65 for it. So what I decided to do, I decided to make it myself. I already had some lace in my sewing studio, I had lining, I had a hidden zipper, I had elastic, I had everything I wanted. So there you go. I gathered together all my material, I measured my waist for 27 inches, I gathered together all the rest of the things including my zipper, my elastic waistband, I got a 2-inch because I like a wide waistline, and my lace. I had some lace in my studio that I haven't used, and I decided to give a very good purpose today. So let's go and see what we're gonna have as an end result. I just want to put my fabric on the floor here for you just so you can see how easy it is to work with only what you have, especially as a beginner. The floor works just fine. Lay your fabric on it, make sure it's straight. I usually like to use as a guidance the lines from my hardwood floor, just so I make sure I line up my lace straight, and keep cutting. As soon as I cut my 2 yards of fabric, 26-inch length, I moved on in preparing my lining. My lining as well, I cut it for about 24 inches. I like to keep my lining a little bit shorter. I also considered the fact that I will have to have a finish hem for this because my skirt being an scallop edge with eyelash lace, I did not need an actual hand or sewing machine hem, which was amazing because it saved me a lot of time. Next, we move down to our waistband. I prepare for this skirt 2-inch elastic, so therefore I cut the waistband for about 28 inches long with 6 inches wide. Now I have everything prepared. I have the shell of my skirt, I have my lining, I have my waistband, I have the elastic for about 25-26 inches long. I have my hidden zipper, which was crazy long, but I'm gonna cut it and I'm gonna make it happen. Next, I have my sewing machine prepared. I'm always using the same settings just because I'm using almost the same fabrics all the time. I have my tension down to about 2.5. I'm using my universal foot. I have my stitches for straight stitch, and I have my bobbin on white color thread, and I'm ready to go. Firstly, I put my panel together. I make sure I line them up properly at the hem, considering that for me this hem is really important to match because I'm gonna have a natural eyelash lace hem. So therefore, I would really make sure it's properly aligned. I also have to consider leaving about 8 inches for my zipper. I mark that with one of my pins and I'm ready to sew the skirt. This is the first step, sewing the skirt. So right now, pretty much we're going to have the two panels together just so we can close the skirt. As soon as we are having this done, I'm just having a simple straight stitch for this seam. I could obviously finish this seam, but for now, just because it's not bulky, it's a very nice light lace, I think I'm just going to leave it unfinished like this. I don't think it's going to fray, and the less bulky it looks, the better it is, in my opinion, for a lace skirt. So as you can see, right here at the hem, it's really nice line up and it looks pretty clean to me. So I'm gonna leave it just like that. For step number 2, I just realized that I've lost somewhere my gathering foot. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go over and change the setting of my sewing machine to the temporary stitches so I can find a way to make the gatherings without a gathering foot. So by changing the temporary stitches, I'm going to be able to pull the thread and adjust the gathering to the fabric to the length that I need. It takes a little bit longer than normal, but I've done that before. I've actually had my gathering foot. I've done that many times. All you have to do is, as soon as you finish, tight the ends together of your thread so you don't lose the thread, and just play around with the gatherings. It's pretty simple, and to me it's also a very fun process. I keep playing around and I make sure the weight is kind of equal for the gatherings, and I measure as often as I can just to make sure I don't make it too short or I don't make it too wide. If it's too short, then that means the gatherings are too tight and I need to loosen them up a bit. If it's still too wide, then I adjust the gatherings again. So there you go. Right here, as you can see, I'm tying my ends so I can play around with gatherings as much as I want until I'm happy with the result. So there you go. I think right now it seems to be already ready. I measured, I was only a little bit off, so I had to let go a little bit of more of the fabric. I changed back from the temporary stitches to my normal straight stitches. I'm not using elastic stitches right now because I don't need to do that. It's around my waist and the elastic will provide me access a lot along with the zipper closure. So what I'm doing right now, I'm reinforcing my temporary stitches on my gatherings, and I gently feed the gatherings through the foot for the sewing machine to get the same balance that I originally aimed for by playing with the gatherings myself. I just measure one more time just so I make sure I'm all in the safe side. And by the end of this, I was somewhere about 28 and maybe a quarter of an inch, which is absolutely fine. I can take the extra excess and hit it at the time of adding my zipper. Step number 3 is at sewing my lining. Don't forget, when you sew your lining, make sure you leave the same 8 inches for sewing your zipper closure. As soon as you do this, make sure you sew your hem as well. You really need to sew a really nice clean hem for your lining, just so the skirt has a very nice finished look. Next step, same thing. You just need to change from your straight stitch to the temporary stitch to make the gathering on the top of your lining. Make sure you keep the same measuring, make sure you pull the strings and tie them together, then play with the gatherings. Make sure it's not bulky with the gap, make sure it's really balanced, and as soon as you've done with that, you gotta go back and do the same step. Change the temporary stitches of the sewing machine into the straight stitch and reinforce the gathering of your lining so it matches the size and the gatherings of the shell of your skirt. So that's it, voila, your skirt is almost ready. You have the gathering with the permanent stitches, you have your lining, hem, everything is ready to go. So now it's time for you to assemble the skirt. Put the lining of your skirt inside of the shell of the skirt. I use my dress form and I used my pins to put the skirt onto the dress form so I can actually have a good look at the length. How is the lining, how long is the lining versus the shell of the skirt? I just want to make sure everything is well balanced, and I'm liking the result because after this, the next step is just to sew the lining to the skirt at the waistline. Now, for the next step, what I'm going to do, I will make sure I put my skirt and my lining together. I usually make sure I match the ends together. That's very important for me because if by accident I'm half inch or quarter of an inch off, it's going to be easy to adjust because remember I have gathering, so it's going to be very easy to maneuver that, but I wouldn't like to start cutting or having longer shell or longer skirt or whatnot. Is not going to look nice. So what I'm going to do right here, I'm going to sew them together, gently feed the fabric to the sewing machine, just gently helping the gatherings of the skirt and the lining through the pressure foot, so I make sure I give a really nice clean look. So I help fitting the fabric to the sewing machine for a nice clean look. At this point, as you can see, it's pretty much ready. I measure one more time. I look at the final result. I think I like it. I think it's going to look really beautiful. I take all the pins away from my waistline. I measure once again. I make sure it's exactly what I wanted. Even though at this point, my measuring so many times would be very hard to adjust everything unless I open the stitches and sew it back up. One thing I did not notice from the beginning was that my elastic was kind of pinkish, and I didn't like that obviously, and I could not use it. And as soon as I put my waistband fabric, my lace onto it, I could see so easy. So obviously I could not have a pink elastic band, that's why I had to change for a different elastic. But unfortunately I didn't have a right width. I only had white elastic in 1 inch. I felt so bad because I do like to have a wide waist for my skirts, but hey, at this point, I was really looking into finishing this skirt within few hours. I wasn't planning to go back to the store, so I guess this will do for today. Just a small change, not a big deal, really. I measure what I knitted. I usually like a little bit snug around my waist, so I only knitted 25 inches, but I also added half extra inch just to have some allowance. Obviously, at this point, my waistband it's a little bit too wide for my elastic, so I will have to play a little bit around and adjust this. This is the result of having 1-inch waistband. I can't say I like it as much as I would have liked the 2-inch waistband, but I need to live with it. So I measure once again, I make sure I leave enough space for my elastic to fit into my waistband case. I'm actually sewing right now somewhere about a 1.5 inch. And as soon as I finish this, I will add the waistband to the skirt in order for me to be able to add the elastic right after. Clean up a little bit as you go. I like to have nice clean finishes. I don't like to have a lot of excess fabric that I'll have to cut in the end. I always clean as I go as much as I can because it makes it a lot easier for me when I finish. I don't have a lot of loose ends. So right now, next step, I'm going to add my waistband to my skirt with permanent stitches, and I leave enough to be able to fit my 1-inch wide elastic. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to allow to this waistband for 1.25 inches wide. Again, make sure you always help the fabric. You make sure you are in control of the fabric at all time. Take your time, make sure you adjust the speed of your sewing machine. You don't rush through because you're going to make mistakes. And I've made mistakes while I was learning, and it was taking me so much longer to complete a task because I had to go over and over again in fixing it. So if I would have to advise you anything over my 10 years of experience, take your time. Don't rush it, especially with the sewing machine. Sometimes the stitches take so long to undo, and it's a waste of time. Take your time to feed the machine with the fabric. Don't push, don't pull. Try to adjust yourself to the sewing machine speed. Now, as you can see, next step, I'm going to feed my elastic through the waistband. And I just have the right tool. As you can see here, I have a bunch of things. Mostly they have to do with my leather work, but I know I have a huge safety pin that is going to help me do this really quick. There you go, I found it. See how easy it is to have everything handy? Priceless to organize your sewing room, your sewing studio based on your needs. So right now I'm feeding my elastic through my waistband. Was pretty easy, straightforward. I secure both ends of the elastic onto the ends of waistband so I don't lose the elastic again, and then I make sure I adjust everything. Remember, my waistband is 27-28 along with the allowance, where my elastic is 25. So I make sure I balance it a little bit and I play with it. So there you go. We are only a few steps away from having this skirt ready to wear. And if I would have to look at the time, by the time I started till the time I finish, and also attending my 6-year-old kid who was keep interrupting me, I honestly don't think I worked on this for longer than 4 hours, and not because I'm experienced, just because it's that easy. Step by step, put your skirt together, put your lining together, do the gatherings, sew the two together, cut your waistband, attach it to the skirt, put the zipper, and voila, is that easy. I promise you, you don't have to be an experienced sewer. It's incredibly easy and simple. So there you go. We are almost ready. We are almost done. Obviously, it looks a little bit messy inside, and I would like to clean this a little bit more. So therefore, for cleaning inside, I'm going to close this by using my serger. Having a serger is priceless because it cuts your work in half. Look how nice and clean it is, the inside seam. Look how nice it is. It almost looks like you just purchased this skirt from the store. One more thing right now for us, as you can see, is just to add the zipper, and we're going to be ready. For this skirt, I'm going to use a hidden zipper. I think it looks so nice and clean to have one of these. Unfortunately, I don't have a 10-11 inches zipper, so I'm going to have to use one of my dress zipper, but I'm going to cut it and I'm going to make it work. Attaching a hidden zipper, it's really not that difficult. It's a very straightforward job. If you need help with that, please leave a comment and I'm going to make sure I make a very short video of how to attach a hidden zipper. It's absolutely easy. It does seem a little bit complicated when you look at it, and it kind of flips a little bit the sides in order to bring in and have a clean look, but I love to use them, especially for some delicate fabric like lace. Oops, as you can see, I poked my finger and I was bleeding on a zipper. However, nobody's gonna see, and most likely I will wear it and I'll be fine. No one will ever know. Just know that it's most likely gonna happen to you as well. Now, I always like to secure the zipper sides onto the skirt before I decide sewing, because it's nothing worse than finishing the zipper and have the panel shifted. It's horrible because you have to undo the stitches, open up and redo it, and that's only absorbing so much more time. So use pins to secure the panels, so make sure they do not shift and they give you a nice balanced look at the end. Also, it would be really good if you have for your sewing machine a zipper foot. So I'm changing my universal one with the zipper foot. It's priceless to have a foot for zipper, especially if you're going to sew a lot of things with closure, with a zipper closure, because it saves you time and it gives you a very nice clean look, especially for the hidden zippers. And I usually like to go with the stitches right close to the zipper teeth, because that's going to give me a true invisible zipper. Make sure you always do back stitches. I usually like to reinforce my stitches at the beginning and at the end with the back stitches, just because I think it's going to making sure the stitches are not coming undone, and it gives more of a quality to your work. So don't forget to always do back stitches. Now, as you can see right here, I was trying to go as close as possible to the teeth of the zipper. I like to do that because it gives me a very nice hidden zipper, and it gives a very professional and commercial look to your garment. Make sure you always balance and measure well when you attach the second panel, because if you have shifted zipper, that is going to look and is going to give you an uneven look when you zip your skirt. So the whole work will look unprofessional, and you would probably consider opening it up and redoing it again. So that's expending your work time and it gives you more frustration. So always align the zipper and make sure they don't shift and they don't look uneven. So there you go. It looks properly, it looks even with my hidden zipper. I could have added an actual snap as a closure right above the zipper, but I just decided to keep it simple. Right now, we just have to make sure we get the end of your zipper inside of the skirt through a little hole. Make sure we make nice and neat loop. You tie all the ends. I usually like to sew everything nice and neat, so it's a very commercial look. But I have these habits maybe because I'm working with private clients, and I always look into giving them a little bit more professional and commercial look, even though the items I'm putting out are obviously custom made and are still handmade in the end of the day. So make sure you always try to cut very clean. Make sure you sew all the ends. Make sure you cut all the loose ends and the threads. Don't leave them hanging because they would look really unprofessional. So I put together everything at the end, and I will make sure once again I will go around and I will cut all the threads and everything that it shouldn't be on the skirt. But as you can see, voila, we have the final product. One more thing I will have to do as soon as I'm done with giving an overall look to the skirt, I'm going to turn the skirt inside out. And because I cut the zipper, I need to make sure I close it so it doesn't come undone while I'm wearing it. This is a very important step. So I'm going to turn my skirt inside out. I'm going to cut the extra zipper that I actually do not need and is gonna weirdly hang between my legs. And I'm going to close that zipper with a couple of stitches carefully so I don't make a weird lump on my skirt. Really nice and clean. Listen to your fabric, stretch it out with your hands really well. Put a couple of stitches on, and right now your zipper is supposed to go nowhere with no loose ends. Everything is going to be fine. Double check, make sure everything is all right, and when you are really sure, go back and forth with a couple of stitches and it is ready for you to wear. So there you go, we have an A-line skirt. We have a lace skirt, was probably under 4 hours and under $10. This is how easy it is. The reason why I'm putting these videos out there is for you to see how easy it is to put a skirt together, how little it takes, how much fun you have, and how proud you should be of the result. Not only that you're gonna wear and you wanna wear something that you custom made for yourself and is going to fit exactly to your sizes, but on top of it is the pride that that's your work, that's your skirt. This is something that you handmade for yourself, true to your size, and it's so important to wear something your size and that fits true to you when we know that whatever we find out there in the stores, it never fits us like a glove. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you get the challenge to get a couple of yards of fabric and just sit down on the floor, start cutting and sewing. It's truly a blessing to be able to create something for yourself by hand. You're gonna be so proud and excited to wear. That's it for me all today. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to comment down below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you have any ideas or questions, again, I'm free and I'm available to answer. I wish you all the best, and I wish you good luck with your projects. Take care. Goodbye.
Here we go.